everybody, Brock Gillespie here, and welcome to another episode of Putting News Quarterly. This is our fourth and final episode of the year. We're going to be covering sort of the last third or last quarter of 2025. We had a lot of great tournaments to talk about, and we're going to touch on almost all of the different putting tours that exist in the United States. We don't really talk too much about the European stuff. Frankly, I just don't know too much about those tours, but I'm, pretty knowledgeable about the U.S. tours, and yeah, man, let's jump into it. And then we also have a very special guest. We have an interview with Jacob Fair. We'll start off with that, the result of that, which you already know already. Jacob Fair won the 2025 PopStroke Tour Championship, and he has been crowned PuttingChannel.com's Player of the Year. Many of you probably know that I run this website called The Putting Channel, and we crown a Player of the Year award. In 2024, it was Jeff Gibraltar for his big wins on the World Putting Tour and National Putting Tour, and this year it was Jacob Fair. Jacob Fair really only had one big win, but it was the biggest win, one of the biggest wins in putting history. He took home a total of $60,000, and Jacob Fair is the PuttingChannel.com Player of the Year for 2025. And we have an interview with him at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. Let's jump into some of these other tours. We'll start off with a smaller tour. My buddies over there at the Show Me Putters Tour. Eric Fagg and Jody Kimball help run that tour, and it's a great tour. And once again, Jody Kimball is the champion of the year. Don Luzader, I don't know if you know Don, he's a great putter. He finished second. Eric Fagg finished third, and Mark Deaver finished fourth. Justin Thomas, a really high quality putter out there, finished fifth. Brian Akers ended up finishing sixth in their championship. Brian Akers has really come on strong. Those of you who don't know Brian, he runs the Putters League, and he hasn't been in competitive putting that long. I think he's been doing competitive putting maybe for like 4 years now, but I played with him out at the Putters League Championship, and his stroke has gotten so much better. So look for Brian Akers in the future to start moving up these leaderboards. He finished sixth in their championship. So Jody Kimball, congratulations. Jody's a great guy. He's a buddy of mine, and he is the 2025 Show Me Putters champion. And the Show Me Putters hail out of Missouri. And they do most of their tournaments, I think, in Branson, Missouri. So congratulations to Jody Kimball. Great finish there. Let's touch on the U.S. Pro Mini Golf Association. They had their Masters of Putting, which they do every year. They do it on different courses, but it always ends on Hawaiian Rumble, the Hawaiian Rumble course. And the Swede, Ricard Lochner, takes the championship. Ricard is, quite possibly the best competitive putter on the planet. The guy is absolutely phenomenal. Those of you who remember Ricard in the Major Series of Putting, he won their High Roller. I believe he took home around $100,000 for that win back in, I think that was 2017, 2018. And he's been a mainstay on all the putting tours around the world. Great guy. Him and the rest of the Swedish putting team, they're all great guys. And Ricard Lochner out of Sweden takes the Masters of Putting Championship. Olivia Prokopova won the women's division in the Masters. Joey Graybill won the seniors championship there at the Masters. Got to play with Joey a little bit out at the tournament we just did in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and God, what a great guy. And then the seniors champion at the Masters of Putting was John Ventura. Me and John got to know each other quite well in Elizabeth, Kentucky, and God, what a great guy he is. Those of you who don't know John, he's just a phenomenal guy and a great putter. Had a lot of fun with him out in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and he won the seniors, super seniors, excuse me. John Ventura won the super seniors, and Joey Graybill won the seniors. So U.S. Pro Mini Golf Association Masters of Putting, once again, Ricard Lochner took it, and what a great putter he is. Let's talk a little bit about the World Putting Tour. World Putting Tour hails out of Putting World in Scottsdale, Arizona. Guys, unfortunately, I think it's done for them. I don't see them doing any more tournaments. They keep on saying they're going to do a tournament, and they say, oh, it's supposed to be in August. Oh, it's supposed to be in November. Oh, it's supposed to be in December. Oh, we're going to be doing something next year. They keep on giving all the players the runaround. Unfortunately, the World Putting Tour, I just don't see it coming back. I made a pitch to them to run their tour and just take a small rake off of each player, and they turned me down on it. I don't want to get too much into the weeds here with personal stuff, but I don't know. I guess somebody told Tim something. I really like Tim, the owner of Putting World. If he's watching this, Tim, you're such a great guy, and I really like you. And Tim wouldn't tell me what was said to him, but someone told him that I had said something about either the facility or the tour. I don't know. I have been a little bit critical of some of the things that they've done over there, but I didn't mean it in any sort of mean or derogatory way. But I guess Tim kind of made mention of something, that something was said to him that I had said, and I feel really bad about it. I don't know, what was said to him, but I offered to run their tour. They said no. They were supposed to. We had a conference call, and we went over a bunch of different ideas, and they were going to make a bunch of changes to the tour and try to make it better, and then that never happened. And yeah, I don't know. I don't speak for them, because maybe they have big plans to do something. But as of right now, it looks like the World Putting Tour is not going to be doing tournaments anytime soon. There are other entities that have been doing tournaments at Putting World. I played in a huge event, and look for this next year, guys. It was a really fun event. The Queen Bee Foundation did a tournament there. The Queen Bee Foundation, they're a foundation that helps people with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and a couple of the guys that run it, I forget their names, they're brothers, and they run it. If you look up Queen Bee Foundation in Scottsdale, Arizona, you'll find their foundation. If you can afford to donate some money to the cause, gosh, it would go to a great cause. And they ran a big tournament. It was in late October, and they had a $5,000 first place prize, and it's a team event. Me and Mike Gonzalez won stage one, which gets you into the final, they call it the final five. It was the best 5 teams. Eric Bishop and Mark Bishop, who you know from the National Putting Tour, made it. There was a few other teams that made it into this final 5. Me and Mike Gonzalez, unfortunately, we didn't win the 5,000. We finished second place. They started breaking out some crazy holes, and I don't know if you've been to Putting World before, but they have these islands that are separated by concrete paths, and they had holes that were going across the concrete, and they were putting up rugs to make it to where the ball could bounce up onto the islands, and they had some really crazy cross-country holes that unfortunately we just could not negotiate well enough to win, and a couple other guys won that tournament, but me and Mike Gonzalez finished in second place. But look for that next year, the Queen Bee Foundation at Putting World. It happens in mid to late August, and the buy-in was $150. The money goes to a good cause, and it was a lot of fun, so check that out. And we'll talk about any other tournaments that happen at Putting World. They are doing some kids tournaments now, so if you got a kid that likes competitive putting and you're in the Phoenix area, take your kid over to Putting World and play in one of their kids tournaments. But as far as I know, the World Putting Tour, it doesn't look like they're going to be doing anything anytime soon. So kind of a bummer there. But that's the way it goes with these putting tours. Sometimes they blow through a bunch of money, and unfortunately there was no money left. And I understand, and I wish all the guys the best at Putting World. I love the facility, and I love the people that work over there. And they really tried to do something big there, and it just didn't happen. So anyway, it's enough about the World Putting Tour. So now let's talk about the National Putting Tour. We've had some good tournaments here at the end of the year. I did a charity tournament for an entity called the FCI. They help elderly people here in North San Diego. We did the FCI Putting Championship, and Ken Kraus won that tournament. Ken was a great guy. He won an Odyssey putter. We did the Duke of Putting Championship, and Jeff Kirk was the champion. He shot 23 under through 45 holes. Great performance by him. Special shout out to Richard Herbert. Many of you know Richard as a mainstay on the National Putting Tour. He also did a lot of World Putting Tour events. He had a great tournament finishing second at -20. Myself, Brock Gillespie, finished third at -19. Eric Bishop, a former MSOP standout in San Diego, had a great finish, finishing fourth at -18. and the amateur Paul O'Callahan, good buddy of mine, finished in 5th place at -17. Mike Gonzalez and Matt Mill also had a good finish in this tournament, finishing tied for 5th in the Pro Division. So a great tournament out at Enagic, one of the best practice putting greens in San Diego. And we should do the Duke of Putting tournament every year there. Those of you who don't know, the Duke of Putting, Duke Windsor, Colonel Duke Windsor was my grandfather, and he introduced me to the game of golf at 8 years old. Without him, the National Putting Tour definitely would not be here. He passed away years ago, but he was a World War II fighter pilot, very decorated soldier, Marine, fighter pilot. And we do a tournament every year to commemorate his memory, the Duke of Putting. So Jeff Kirk won that event. Great event for him. The next event that we did was in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Many of you have probably seen the clips of this course. The course is inspired by Augusta National, and James Kaiser, the guy who runs the place, is a great guy, good friend of mine, and wanted to do a big tournament. And we did a really big tournament. We had about 45 players. A lot of amateurs and beginners came out. And we also had some of the top pros on the East Coast in the eastern portion of the country. We had some great players. Yours truly, Brock Gillespie, was able to take the title on that one. Had a little bit of an advantage. No one had any practice on the course, and I had gotten there a couple weeks early, and it paid off. You know, most of the guys had 4 or 5 days practice, but probably just wasn't enough to take me down. I kind of sharked that one a little bit. I finished first in that event at -10. Greg Newport just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, the PPA Hall of Fame. Him and Brian Johnson finished second at -8. Randy Reeves at -7. Frank Bassesi and Nate Nichols tied for 5th at -6. Thank you to everybody who came out to the Cosmic Cup. That was the name of the tournament. The venue is called Cosmic Golf, so we called the tournament the Cosmic Cup. And James Kaiser and the owners, John Potts Jr. and John Potts Sr. were very happy with the turnout and what happened, and they're talking about trying to do an even bigger tournament next year with more prize money. And yeah, stay tuned for that. As far as future events for the National Putting Tour, we have a really fun tournament planned on January 17th at the Golf Mart in Encinitas, California, and we are working on a tournament with Prestige Golf, which is an entity here in Southern California that does amateur tournaments, regular golf tournaments, and I guess they got about 100 guys on their tour, the Prestige Golf Tour. And the guy who runs the Prestige Golf entity, Dave, said that he's got a lot of guys that want to do a putting tournament. We're going to do sort of like a live golf kind of thing where we have a team element to this one. We're hoping sometime in February. We were supposed to do that in January, but Dave's daughter had a cheer thing in Las Vegas on January 24th, and we had to cancel that event because of that. But we're looking for a date in February, so stay tuned with that. And also, those of you who might remember earlier in the year, I won the Michelob Putting Championship. I won $10,000 first place prize for that tournament. And they were talking about trying to do something again next year. So I've been emailing them. They haven't gotten back to me. They were getting back to me a couple months ago, but I haven't heard back from them since. So I'm not sure exactly what the status is of that tournament. But last year they did it in the middle of February. So hopefully the Michelob Putting Championship comes back. They played their final at PopStroke Scottsdale's Red Course. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for future National Putting Tour events. Let's talk about the Putters League. Those of you who know Brian Akers and Amanda Farinay, you couldn't ask for tour runners to be, you couldn't ask for two nicer people to be tour runners. Brian and Amanda are just absolutely awesome people, and they threw a big tournament called the 2025 Putters League Championship. I did a little recap video. If you search, well, I guess you'd search maybe National Putting Tour, find my channel, and then look at some of the past videos that I've done, and you'll see a recap video that I did for this tournament. It's a short one. It just covers the last couple rounds, or excuse me, the last half of the last round with the top players. And God, was this an exciting tournament. Danny Tatum and Greg Newport tied at 27 under after 4 rounds, and they went to a playoff. and they had a 6-hole playoff. They were still tied after that, and then they had one more playoff hole, sudden death, and Danny Tatum birdied hole 1 to take the title. This tournament was also covered by the World Adventure Golf Tour series. They do some stuff in Europe. They do some stuff all over the place, and they did a live broadcast of this tournament. If you go to YouTube and search World Adventure Golf Tour, you'll find their page, and maybe under the live tab, you can find this. It's a 5-hour long live broadcast of the tournament. Those guys do a great job over at the WAGT. I really enjoyed the broadcast, and Danny Tatum takes the title. Greg Newport, Hall of Famer, finishes second at -27, lost in a playoff. Randy Reeves, once again, another top finish for him. He finished third. Rick Baird, who I talked to earlier in the year, I guess he retired and he's going to devote himself to competitive putting, and man, has it paid off. He finished fourth at -24. He also had a third place finish in a big European tournament. So Rick Baird is definitely climbing up the leaderboards on these tours, and watch out for him in 2026. Myself, Brock Gillespie, finished fifth at -19. Justin Seymour from up in the Northeast. This guy played in my ESPN show event, and I could tell he was a really good putter, and he made his mark on this tournament, finishing sixth amongst some really top players. So congrats to Justin Seymour at -18. Brian Akers finished seventh at -17. Should have done a lot better, had a little bit of a blow up on the final hole. I was playing with him in the final group, and he whooped my ass the whole round and just got unlucky on the final hole. But I talked about this earlier. Watch out for Brian Akers in 2026. This guy's putting stroke has really gotten better, and I was telling him, I played with him a few years ago at Tin Cup, and he was a good putter, but he's really honed things in, and so look out for Brian Akers in 2026. I would not be surprised to see him in the top 3 in some big events next year. His putting stroke has really come on. And Derek Hartman finished 8th place at -16. That was a really fun tournament at the Fringe Mini Putt in Roswell, Georgia. Any of you who are in that area, the Atlanta area, or anywhere in the Southeast, look up puttersleague.com. They're going to be doing some big tournaments, and they're talking about a big tournament next August, kind of similar to what I did for the ESPN show event, where I had this concept, I called it the super roll of putting. They're doing kind of a similar thing in August of 2026, where they're going to be joining forces with all the tours. They asked me to be a part of it, and I told them I could definitely promote it, and they can use my logo if they want to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to that event, but I guess the AMA is going to be involved, US Pro Mini Golf Association. They're talking about maybe getting the Show Me Putters involved, maybe some of the other tours, and that's going to be sort of like a super roll of putting concept, and so look for that in August of 2026. And Rainey Statham is supposed to be someone who might be sort of the face of that tournament, so look out for that one. Let's talk about the PPA. So the Professional Putters Association, probably the longest standing putting tour out there. They've been doing tournaments, I think, since the 40s and 50s. They play exclusively on putt-putt courses, which for those of you who don't know, putt-putt is a type of course. It's a brand of course. And usually putt-putt courses have rails, usually orange steel rails, and mainly flat surfaces, maybe like a little bit of an upslope and then a flat plateau, but not really any slopes or anything. Kind of like flat plateau type holes with orange rails. And a lot of the holes, you're bouncing the ball off these orange rails, and it's a brand of putting, and the facilities are called putt-putt, and that's where the name came from. Now, your common putter out there, your common mini golfer will say, hey, let's go putt-putt. It's kind of like, hey, if I need a tissue, I say, give me a Kleenex, or if I want a cola, I say, give me a Coke. They have sort of a brand name recognition with putt-putt courses. And the PPA plays exclusively on putt-putt courses, and they just had their big final in I'm going to probably mispronounce this, Fernandina Beach, and Cliff Matthews was able to take that title for the PPA. Wade Sawmel, which I'm probably mispronouncing that, I think it's Saymel or Sawmel, that's Olivia Prokopova, her husband, and he's had a really good year. He had a really good finish early on at the World Putting Tour, where he almost won an event out in Scottsdale and finished, I believe, second. But he's a great putter. I hear that he's a little bit of a yeller, kind of like me. I call myself Old Yeller because towards the end of tournaments, I kind of get excited and I yell a little bit. When I won the Cosmic Cup recently, I gave out a couple really loud yells, and I sometimes it's a little bit embarrassing for me. It just kind of comes out. I apologize, but everyone was cool. But I heard Wade's a little bit of a yeller too, so we got that in common. And Wade had a great finish there and finished second. Sid Davis finished third. Rainey Statham finished fourth. Nate Nichols, another top showing. God, Nate Nichols, man. This guy, he won the U.S. Open, I think, a couple years ago. And what a putter this guy is. I mean, he's always near the top of the leaderboard. And Nate Nichols finished fifth. Other standouts in this tournament, Todd Vial, Jerry Pinotti. I got to meet Jerry. What a great guy. He runs I believe the sort of the Indiana, Ohio chapter of the PPA, and he had a great finish there. Gary English, Tom Butler had a great finish there at the PPA final. Tom Butler, another great guy. You might remember Tom from finishing second at the U.S. Open for the U.S. Pro Mini Golf Association at Tin Cup. I got to meet Tom and get to know him. What a great guy. He took a long time off from competitive putting, and now he's back. So watch him in 2026. He's going to be playing a lot more events, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him at the top of more leaderboards. Tony Varnador, Greg Ward, Danny Tatum, Jeff Spainhour, Joseph Graybeal, and Greg Newport round off the top 12, 13 players there at the PPA event. So congratulations to all those guys, and we look forward to another PPA season. Let me look at some of these logos back here. I got the Southwest Putting Tour up there. I guess someone told me that they're folding up shop. They were sort of a sector of the PPA, and I guess Southwest Putting Tour is not going to be doing their thing anymore, so sad to hear about that. But I forgot about PopStroke. So PopStroke, and keep in mind, this is not for sure. I don't know if this is a for sure thing, but I hear through the grapevine, and I don't want to give my source because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but what I've heard is that the PopStroke Tour Championship is for surely going to be in Nashville. Now, don't call me up and get mad at me if they say West Palm Beach. This is just what I've heard. Nashville looks like the destination. They're calling it the biggest putting facility in the world, and anyone who's followed competitive putting or followed putting has probably seen the Instagram photos or photos on Facebook of this place. I got to check the place out when I was in Nashville through a window. It is massive. It looks like an airplane hangar on the inside. It's huge. The course is a little bit interesting. It looks a little bit different than a lot of their courses. They got rocks surrounding the holes, and there's not as many big hills. There is some hilling, but I guess I heard through Jason Raby that the hills don't bring the ball back to the hole. So I think it's mainly a front door type situation. A little bit different. The courses look a little bit different than some of the other PopStroke courses, but I hear that the PopStroke Tour Championship is going to be in Nashville. Some more news about Nashville. I just went to a facility there, a new facility in Nashville that coincidentally is like 10 minutes away from the PopStroke facility, called the Putting Zone. This place is absolutely phenomenal. It's a little bit of a different style of putting. It's more of a station-to-station putting situation. It's a par 72, so there's par 3s, par 4s, par 5s. It plays a little bit more like a golf course would play. They have these white zones, and they're circles, white circles. And if you hit it within the white circle, you get a -1 stroke. So as you play station to station, you're trying to hit it into these circles. I had a really good time on the course. I'm going to be working with them in some capacity. And the plan is for me, they want to do my next ESPN show there. So the ESPN show for 2026, I'm doing a segment at the beginning that's going to be like 5 to 7 minutes. It's going to be a year recap of a bunch of the events that we did before. During the season. My season now is a 2025-2026 wraparound season. And then the other, 14, 15, 16 minutes of the show will be at a venue, and it's going to most likely be at the Putting Zone. They want to pay me to come down there and do it, and so look out for that. And what I thought about doing, whenever the PopStroke Tour Championship announces their schedule for when they're going to do their tournament, hopefully in Nashville, that last year they did it on a Thursday night. So I'm hoping that they do the same thing, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to schedule my ESPN show for Saturday. So the PopStroke Tour Championship will be in Nashville on Thursday night. Then Friday you'll have a day of practice, maybe half rest, half practice. And then Saturday morning you can practice. And then Saturday evening we'll film the ESPN show at the Putting Zone. The Putting Zone is not open yet. They had some problems, I guess, with the fire marshal. They're still ironing out some details of the facility, but they will be opening soon. So check out the Putting Zone. And they're talking about doing a lot of different types of tournaments there. Daily tournaments, weekly tournaments, monthly tournaments. They want to do a lot of tournaments there. And the guys over there, Bill is the owner. And I'm forgetting the GM, the president's name. It's not coming to me right now. Sorry if you're watching this. But they're both really great guys, and yeah, I think it's John. I believe it's John. They're both really great guys. They run the Putting Zone, and they're very excited about getting the Putting Zone out there, and they want to do the ESPN show there. So as soon as that PopStroke Tour Championship date gets planned, maybe hold off on booking the return plane flight and let me schedule something first, because I know a lot of you will probably enjoy the fact that you can do the PopStroke Tour Championship on a Thursday, get a day of practice in on Friday, and then Saturday we'll do the ESPN show at Putting Zone, so you can get 2 big tournaments in on one trip. I know a lot of you will probably be too tired to do it. That's okay. But maybe some of the people that are flying over from Sweden or some of these other destinations will stay an extra few days and get 2 tournaments in at once. And so stay tuned for that. So let's talk about the great venue, Mossy Creek. They've been doing big putting tournaments for quite a while now. They're in Tennessee, and one of the bigger tournaments of the year is the Tennessee Open. This is held at Mossy Creek, and Jason Raby was the big winner. I got to meet Jason in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. He came out to the tournament. What a nice guy this guy is. Hell of a putter. He was also putting out some great videos on the new PopStroke facility. I'm sure you'll probably see him at the PopStroke Tour Championship. So congratulations to Jason Raby for taking that one down. Also, congratulations to Jeremy Anabanet for his great finishes at Matterhorn and the Red Putter tournaments. Those are 2 other big tournaments that are done during the year, and Jeremy Anabanet had some great finishes, so congratulations to him. Also, the old World Putting League, and I got to take that logo down because the World Putting League no longer exists. They were in conjunction with the U.S. Pro Mini Golf Association. Once again, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here as far as what happened there. Something happened. They decided to go their own way, and the World Putting League, which is ran by the Pro League Network, changed and rebranded themselves as Putt Tour. And I got to get their logo up there. Putt Tour is doing most of their tournaments now in Branson, Missouri. And go to YouTube and search the Pro League Network, and then I think you have to click on the live button on their channel to see some of the old Putt Tour episodes. You know, I think it's really fun. They got a clown that comes out when you make an ace, and it's a little bit different. They're trying to throw some spice into competitive putting, and I really like it. I like the guys over at the Pro League Network. The guy who runs it, Bill's a good guy. He's been nice to me. And I like Putt Tour. And Putt Tour, I guess, from what I'm hearing, just landed a deal with Amazon Prime, and they're going to be doing new tournaments in 2026. And I heard that they are going to be throwing their tournaments now at Social Birdie in Branson, Missouri. Social Birdie has an amazing 18-hole putting course, and I actually did a video. I was going to maybe do a tournament there at some point. Maybe I'll do one there in 2026. But it's kind of like a PopStroke course without the hills, a little bit like the Putt Tech stuff, but maybe not as challenging as far as the shelving is concerned. I got out there and did some practice rounds with Jody Kimball, and we had a lot of fun out there. The place is called Social Birdie. Look it up. It's in Branson, Missouri. And Putt Tour is supposed to be doing some tournaments there, and Putt Tour, the Pro League Network landed a contract with Amazon Prime, so there may be some money that's going to be infused into Putt Tour. I don't know if you guys know Maxim Savard. He's one of the stars of Putt Tour, and he told me that they're going to be doing some tournaments here soon. He's going to try to get me in some of these tournaments. I've been trying to get in them, but unfortunately, I haven't been able to get into any of the World Putting League events yet or Putt Tour events yet. But Rainey Statham, Randy Reeves. I mentioned Justin Thomas. Not the professional golfer Justin Thomas. This is a different Justin Thomas that plays on the Show Me Putters League. Truly phenomenal putter. And Jody Kimball. I believe Don and Eric from the Show Me Putters might do some of the Putt Tour stuff as well. I'm not sure about that, but it's a very fun show that the Putt Tour puts on, and I'm hoping to get on some of those shows. So look for that in 2026 in Branson, Missouri. Putt Tour playing their events at Social Birdie. So, guys, I believe that's it. Check out puttingchannel.com. I've done some updates on that site. I've updated the top 30 USA putting list. Updated some of the videos on the homepage. And also, without further ado, the 2025 Player of the Year is Jacob Fair. And we now have an interview, an audio interview with Jacob Fair. And I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again. All right, everybody, welcome to the interview. We have Jacob Fair. He's been crowned 2025 puttingchannel.com's Player of the Year. Congratulations, Jacob. How you doing today?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. It's a big honor. Just blessed to be here, and really fortunate with what I've been able to do this year in the putting world. And yeah, no, thank you for everything that you do, Brock. And no, it's a great honor.
Sounds good, Jacob. Well, yeah, Jacob, as I was saying earlier in our conversation that wasn't recorded here, there really wasn't much competition out there for this award. I mean, you had some different guys that had won some tournaments out there, but you won one of the biggest tournaments of all time. And for those of you who don't know, Jacob won the PopStroke Tour Championship. He won the singles division and he won the team division. My first question for you, Jacob, the PopStroke Tour Championship, it was in West Palm Beach. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about your preparation for this tournament, and then maybe just a little bit about the tournament itself. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I felt like my preparation coming into that event was the best that I've ever done. I actually got down to West Palm about 2 weeks prior to the event, and got out there. It was nice knowing in advance the timing of when the event was going to be held. It was in the evening, so I could go out and get some prep in on the course at the time of when we would be competing. And I think that prep going in, as some of us know that have played PopStroke, the lines and the speeds can change depending on the time of day. So that prep was really key. And I just went into the event, with full confidence of I had done my preparation. It was fully prepared, and all I needed to do is just go execute. And if I executed, great. If not, I had nothing to, hang my head about.
Yeah. Well, another question I have, this is one of the biggest putting tournaments in the world. It actually might be the biggest putting tournament in the world in regards to prize money. You had some of the best competitive putters out that exist on the planet out there. You had Hans Olafsson, Rainey Statham, Chi Nguyen, Tito Silverman, Nate Nichols. I mean, you had the best of the best.
Hey, don't discount my partner, Pete Lyon.
Pete Lyon,
He's
who
up there too.
in the singles you are competing against him as well. I'm just kind of curious, and then a lot of bright lights, a lot of fanfare. You had some golf influences out there. We even had a PGA Tour pro that you're competing against, Nick Dunlap. I'm just kind of curious, the pressure of this big event. Were you feeling the pressure? Were you feeling the nerves, or were you feeling calm? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I go back to the preparation because I felt fully prepared. I just knew I had a game plan going in, and if I can execute, then the cards will shake out as they may. And honestly, as the tournament was going along, I was so focused on the team event with Pete and I that I really didn't think about the individual side, honestly, until we had about 3 holes left. And Pete brought it up. Is like, hey, dude, like you're right there at the top. I'm just like, oh, I did start to feel some nerves at that point. But for the majority of the event, right, I'd put my prep in. I was so team focused, and I was just out there having a blast. It was really great to have Nick out there. A couple other celebrity figures, you could say, right? I guess we had Jeff McNeil from the Mets, and Gabby Golf Girl was out there. Grant Horvat was out there, so it was great to see those guys. But for the most part, I had put my prep in, and I was just really just honed in on just going out there and executing what I had prepped.
Well, you definitely executed. Tell me a little bit about the dynamic of the singles and the team competition going on at the same time. I ended up not being able to make it out there, but I did do a sort of a live broadcast following the tournament, and I was talking to some of the people that were chiming in about the fact that it was a little bit of a unique situation in that, singles and team is going on at the same time. So there's a little bit of a balance there where if you're trying to win the singles, maybe you don't try to go after an ace because you're trying to do what's best for the team as well. And there's kind of a weird dynamic there where it can present situations where a guy might just go for an ace because he doesn't care about his single score and he's just trying to help the team. So he's kind of, taking one for the team, so to speak, and going after an ace when maybe if he's trying to like do well in the singles, that he would maybe just go after a 2-putt. Did you and Jacob have any thoughts along those lines? Like, was there any strategy involved there, or was it just kind of like, hey, every man for himself, and wherever the score ends up, that's just where it ends up? Tell me a little bit about that dynamic, and was there any sort of strategy there that you guys thought about?
Yeah, so absolutely, it can get a little complex of right the decision making on course in real time for sure between the singles and the teams. Um, Pete and I, we've been putting together for several years now, and we have a good kind of team dynamic and a strategy going into events that we found that works best for us. So we stuck to that strategy, and we didn't waver off of it. It just so happened that this time around the strategy worked. We've refined it from event to event, but more than anything, we have open communication between the two of us. We do a really good job of just letting each other know how we're feeling in the moment, whether it's from pressure or how we feel like we're putting. But more than anything, just having that open dialogue and a game plan going in has really helped us.
Gotcha. Was there a point towards you talked about the last 3 holes, knowing that you're in the lead or you're maybe tied for the lead or you're right there. Was there a point where maybe you kind of sort of played it safe a little bit and maybe didn't go after a crazy shot, or was it just kind of like a gas pedal down thing and just whatever happens happens?
For the most part, I didn't change strategy. It
Yeah.
was more of, when Pete let me know, like, hey, like you're up there. It was more of just like, oh, a little bit of nerves came in, but in terms of strategy of how I was playing the last 3 holes, I didn't waver off of that.
Gotcha. And refresh my memory, what was the total amount of money that you won with half the team and then the singles title? What was the overall count with that?
Combined between the two, it was 60,000.
Oh, wow, $60,000. Well, I don't want to dive too much into your personal life here. If you don't feel comfortable answering this question, no big deal. But, I'm just kind of curious. I mean, $60,000, it's a pretty good chunk of money. Was there any big purchases after that? Did you celebrate in any special way at all, or?
I really didn't.
Okay.
My wife and I had a plan for this year, and we stuck to it, and
Yeah,
just socked it away for later.
gotcha. Cool, man. Well, let's talk about going forward. I know that as far as I know, the news hasn't been released yet. I'm assuming that you're looking to play as many tournaments as you can in 2026.
Yeah, that's the plan. You know,
Yeah.
I haven't seen really anything drop just yet, but definitely am itching to get back out there and compete again.
Nathan Strand, who many of you know, he's a really good putter from Phoenix. He actually did pretty well in the PopStroke Tour Championship. I think him and Nick DeGennaro finished 1 or 2 strokes out of the money. They were right there. He said that he had talked to the general manager of Glendale PopStroke, and that the general manager of Glendale PopStroke told him that 100% for sure the PopStroke Tour Championship is going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know whether or not that's true. Some of the other sources that I have not confirmed that. I'm just kind of curious. Would you rather it be at West Palm Beach again since you won there, or are you does playing at a new venue in Nashville excite you, or any thoughts there on next year's PopStroke Tour Championship?
Yeah, you know, to me, the venue doesn't really matter. I saw that they're opening Nashville. I think it's what, in a couple days on the 28th.
Sure.
It'd be awesome to go see that new venue. But wherever they decide to hold another tournament, if they do, I'll be there. I look forward to the competition more than anything like that. That's what drives me. Um, pick the place, pick the time, and let's go do it.
Sounds good. You've established yourself as one of the top competitive putters out there. And, I'm just kind of curious. There are some other leagues and tours that go on in the East Coast. There's the U.S. Pro Mini Golf Association that does the Masters of Putting, and they usually do, I guess they're doing the U.S. Open in Hawaii. The Masters of Putting is not too far from you in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The Professional Putters Association, they do all of their tournaments at putt courses, and they're doing a lot of stuff on the East Coast. And then you have Brian Akers, who runs the Putters League in Atlanta, Georgia, and they've now teamed up with the World Adventure Golf Tour, and they did an event recently. I'm just kind of curious, with some of these winnings that you've won, as well as just maybe wanting to establish yourself as a competitive putter on these other tours. Like, is there any plan on playing? And then, of course, myself, Brock Gillespie, the National Putting Tour, is probably going to do a tournament or two on in the Eastern Seaboard somewhere. Any desire to play in some of these other tournaments, or you think you're going to maybe just stick with the PopStroke stuff, or any thoughts there?
Yeah, so I just say, I got into putting and professional putting through PopStroke. Been pretty loyal to their events. I enjoy their events. They run well events. I've played in a few others. At this point in time, it mainly comes down to what does my personal schedule look like? What my wife and I have planned, kind of how we see our year shaking out will kind of dictate, my travel schedule and travel plans in terms of putting. So in a roundabout way, I don't have a clear answer to that, but I'm looking forward to getting out there and putting again soon.
Sounds good, Jacob. Well, thank you so much. Once again, congratulations on being the 2025 PuttingChannel.com's Player of the Year, and look forward to seeing you putt well again in 2026. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brock, and I really appreciate the recognition, and hope to see you soon.
Okay, sounds good, Jacob. Thank you.